Hello everyone, welcome to this orientation class for CS1 students. Okay, so we are now conducting completely English batches. So we would be proceeding with our videos and content in completely English mode. So don't worry about the language barrier, guys. So in this class, let us discuss what will be the format of the class of today. So firstly, since this is an orientation session, we will keep it a brief session but to the point session. Cool, and we will first be starting with what exactly CS1 looks like, because you guys might be interested or curious about knowing that what exactly I am going to write in my exam, okay, what exactly my exam looks like and what am I going to study in this exam and how are we going to proceed in this exam. So yes, I know your curiosity. So first we will be solving the decoding the CS1 subject, that what exactly CS1 looks like and how do you pass or fail in this subject. Okay, then we will be moving forward with the content, what exactly CS1 consists of, what are the chapters and what we will be studying in those chapters in the further few months. And then finally we will be discussing, or I will be advising you guys that how should we proceed, how would we proceed via our deliverables and what are you guys expected throughout this course. Okay, so let's start this session. So this is, we are going to do CS1. Okay, so we are doing CS1 paper. Now CS1 is named as Actuarial Statistics paper. So yes, as the name suggests, we will be learning a lot of statistics here, like we will be learning a lot of distributions here, binomial, Bernoulli, some distributions that you might have learned earlier or some distributions that are completely new to you guys, okay. Then we will be conducting many more tests on the data to check whether our data is correct or incorrect, how do we increase the accuracy of our data, and then finally we will be doing some predictions as well, because we are doing actuarial science, so we are expected to do some predictions and then we will be testing our predictions as well, because our predictions can go wrong as well, right. We will be going in detail in each chapter, that what does each chapter consist, what does each chapter test, while we will be skimming through our content, okay. First let us understand that what basically CS1 is made up of. So this consists of statistics. You can appear for this paper via two institutes, basically two institutes currently provide CS1. So this is Institute of Actuaries of India, that is IAI, or it is Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, that is IFOA. Cool. Now CS1 is basically made up of two papers. We have CS1A here and we have CS1B here. CS1A is a word paper, like you have to type your answers in Word. This is a numerical based theory paper. You will be getting case scenarios and you will be solving the numericals here. And you could be asked some definitions as well, but since now more and more institutes are going towards the application based paper, the definitions basically are less or less expected to be seen in the paper, but yes, we will be going to definitions and theory as well, because these complement basically your numericals to be solved, okay. CS1B is a programming based paper. Now I know many students might be afraid of programming or coding and they be like, yeah, oh, we have to do programming here. So don't worry guys, this is a R programming based paper. Even though you do not have any background in the coding, don't worry about that. We will be learning from very scratch how do we proceed with the R programming, okay, and then we will be mastering the R programming. Don't worry about that. Programming based paper where you will be working with R programming software and you will be submitting a Word file in the exam. We will learn how to submit the Word file in the exam, that is a minor topic to be covered, okay. This is the structure of basically both the institutes. Both the institutes have same content, same structure of the paper, it is just the difference in little timing and the little question type, okay, but the content remains same. So if we are doing a class for CS1, that is basically meant for both II and IFO students. So no differences in that. Then structure, let us talk about the structure, timing structure basically. So, for CS1A and CS1B, if we are doing from IAI, CS1A is basically 3 hours 15 minutes typing paper, and if we are doing it from IFOA, we get extra 5 minutes, which are 3 hour 20 minutes paper plus 30 minutes for uploading your answer. In this time period you can't write anything, but yes, they have provided 30 more minutes for uploading your answer freely. This is 3 hour 20 minutes paper and this is 3 hour 15 minute paper. CS1B is comparatively of lesser timing. So, CS1B if we are giving from II, this is basically 1 hour 45 minutes paper, and again if we are giving from IFOA, this is basically 5 minutes more. So, we have 1 hour 50 minutes paper plus 30 minutes uploading time. Okay. Now, if we move forward, what are the exam structure? So, if we are giving from II completely have remote invigilation. Both the institutes have, as I said, typing based paper, so you have to type your answer. There is no copy pen paper, or you can't write your answers like normal writing. Okay, you have to type your answers, your mathematical answers into a Word file, and you have to submit a Word file. Is it okay, guys? II conduct now completely remote invigilation. Proctor based invigilation, this is. Previously, II had completely objective based paper, but now they have now shifted to subjective based paper. They will be giving 30% objective and 70% subjective. So, you will be testing on both MCQs as well and the subjective descriptive paper as well. Okay, so we will be preparing for both the types. For IFOA provide two options. They try providing you center based invigilation. But again, it is not a copy pen paper, this is a online typing based paper. You will be going to center, you will be typing your exam on the center, okay. So, again online typing exam, but here will be the proctor, who will the proctor here? A person, okay. There will be no robotic proctor, but a person in person invigilation. This is also called in person invigilation, because we will have invigilators there. If in case your center is too far and you are not able to register for center based invigilation, or you are willing to give your paper from the home due to some emergency or due to some issues, you can consult with IFOA and they may provide you remote invigilation, which is proctor based, which is robotic proctor based, okay. Either robotic proctor based or distance proctoring, okay, just like II provides. So, remote invigilation, but again it is proctor based. So, this is basically how you would be writing your exam and where you would be writing your exams. Cool. So, this was what exactly CS1 looks like. So, we can give it either from two institutes. There consists of two papers, a word paper and a programming based papers. These are basically paper A is basically 3 hours 15 or 20 minutes paper, and paper B is basically 1 hour 45 to 50 minutes paper, okay. From II you would be only registering for a remote invigilation paper, but from IFOA we have two options, center based invigilation, and in case IFOA is not able to allot you perfect center, or if you you do not get your preferred center, you can apply for remote invigilation as well, okay, where you will be invigilated through a proctor. Now, let us discuss the passing criteria of CS1. Okay, because basically we have to pass the paper, right. So, let us consider the example. There is a student A, there is a student B. Notes that CS1A is of 100 mark paper and CS1B is of 100 mark paper. You will be given two papers and they will be conducted on different days, okay. For example, student A receives 70 number in paper A. this is paper A and this is paper B, and for example 20 number in paper B, and this student for example gets 60 number in paper A and 50 number in paper B. So let us discuss which student will be passing and which student will be failing from both the institute, because there is a difference in the passing criteria of both the institutes. Please make sure. So let us first do from IFOA. IFOA takes 70-30% weightage, 70% and 30% weightage. 70% weightage to CS1 paper A and 30% weightage to CS1 paper B. So for example, let us calculate the marks that student A get. So student A has received 70 number in paper A, so 70% of 70 we will take, plus 20 number in paper B, so we will take 30% of those 20 number, and then we will get the total marks, and this mark will be deciding whether he is passing or failing. So let us calculate. 70% of 70 becomes your 49 and 30% of 20 becomes your 60, I guess. Yes, so this will become your 55 number. Let us calculate the marks for student B as well. He will be getting 70% of 60 and 30% of 50. So 70% of 60 is 42 and 30% of 50 is 15, I guess. So student will be getting 57 marks. Now for example, if IFOA gives its cutoff for CS1 for that attempt as 56. So A fails but B passes. So make sure, look, there was too much difference between paper A and paper B. Student A scored very well in paper A but scored very poor in paper B. Student B remained consistent. He did almost average in both the papers and he was getting more marks. So it is very important that you guys make sure you are learning paper A and B as well as together. Okay? Don't do it like, okay, paper A has 70% weightage, I will be doing 100% in my paper A and I will not be learning paper B. No, that's not gonna working. Actually, if you are going through IFOA, if you are going through IAI, student A automatically fails. How student A will fail? Because IAI has an extra rider of minimum 30% marks in each paper. Okay. So student A have received 20 number, but the minimum passing criteria for each paper was 30 numbers, that is 30%, that is 100 ka 30% is 30. So student A is falling short of that. So student A, however good he or she may score in paper A, doesn't matter at all if he is failing the passing criteria, minimum passing criteria in paper B. Okay. So if you are thinking be like, I should appear for paper A, I will be getting my 80 marks, 90 marks and I will be passing the criteria in II, that's not possible. You have to appear for paper B and you have to bring out the minimum passing marks in that paper B for sure. Okay. So this was the passing criteria. Well, this is just for a brief glimpse because we guys would be working hard so that you do not need to think about the passing criteria and you will be giving your 100%. Okay. Now one more thing is that upper rounding in IFOA. For example, if passing is 59 marks and you have received 58.75 marks, okay, you will be failing through IFOA. How? IFOA do lower rounding, sorry. IFOA does lower rounding in the exam. For example, it takes GIF of your exam, greatest integer function of greatest integer factor of your exam numbers. Okay, so GIF 58.75, IFOA will not consider it as 59, they will consider it as 58. Whether you are getting 58.25, whether you are getting 58.75, whether you are getting 58.99, basically this is not possible. So you will only get 58 marks, not 59 marks. Okay, there are many chances that students are failing from this 0.25 margin. That's very heartbreaking. So we guys have to work so hard that we do not need to linger about this 0.25 or 0.5 marks. Okay, we want to score much higher than a passing criteria. So this was all the structure of CS1A and CS1E. B, what does CS1 looks like, what does it consist of. Now let us go specifically in the chapter wise description. Okay, so let us do chapter wise description. Let me open up the file for you guys. So yes, this is the content of CS1. We will be doing 16 chapters basically. This is considered one of the shortest paper. If you have appeared only for previously for CM1, then this might look comparatively easier, because CS1 is basically only 66% of CM1. Okay, so comparatively it is easier than CM1. So if you guys taking it for first paper, then it's a great advantage that you will be getting confident with your actuarial journey. And if you have already appeared for CM1, that this might look comparatively easier to you guys. Okay, so let us go through the structure. So this is the content. We divide this into 4 units. Okay, so first unit is 1 to 5. This I consider unit 1. Then we take another unit as unit 2, which is basic R unit, because as I said that we have to be consistent in both the papers. In this basic R, what we will be doing is covering basic R operations, like opening R, saving a file in R, and how do we use operations in R. Then after that, once you are comfortable with your basic R functionality, basic R interface, then we will be doing specific chapters. Chapters remain same, they are tested in theory and they are tested in R paper as well. There are no changes in the chapters. All those 16 chapters can be tested in paper A, and all those 16 chapters can be tested in paper B. There is no specific discrimination between the content, that yes, this chapter only comes in paper A, that this chapter comes in only in paper B. That is not possible. Okay. So then we have unit 2 as basic R. Third unit is basically 6 chapter to chapter 10 till hypothesis. This I consider as my third unit, and the rest correlation and till EBCT, this I consider as my unit 4. I hope this is clear. We will be going out through this in detail in our further classes. We will be covering unit first, then unit second, unit third and unit fourth. So this is basically to separate your content. So first chapter is basically a very theory chapter. This is completely theory chapter and there is no numerical in this chapter. So we will be covering it 1 or 2 weeks before the exam. This is least tested in an exam. If you are expecting a theory based theory question, then you can expect it from data analysis, but this is a least tested in exam. That is why we will be covering it around 1 to 2 weeks prior the exam. Okay. We will start our journey with probability distributions. In this chapter, we will be learning various probability distributions. Some of you might have already learnt about Bernoulli and binomial distributions in your 10th or 12th mathematics. Other distributions we will be learning here will be log normal distribution, normal distribution, uniform distributions. Then we will be going with Poisson, exponential, negative binomial and many more. Okay. Then we will be learning the generating functions here. Of the distributions that we covered in chapter 2nd, we will be learning higher functionalities of those distributions in a third chapters. Okay. Then chapter 4 and 5 consist of joint distribution and conditional expectation. If you guys remember, we might have covered in 12th we have done conditional probability, that one variable is conditional or dependent over other variable. So we will be learning the distributions of those dependent variables and the mean and variance of those dependent variables in these 2 chapters. Then we will be learning basic R unit as I said. Then we will be moving our 6th chapter, which is central limit theorem. So these 3 chapters are basically one of the most important chapters of CS1, which is the approximation of a various distributions into normal distributions. We consider normal distribution as one of the easiest distributions because it is easy for calculations and we can approximate most of the distributions in a normal distributions. Okay. So in these chapters we will be learning how to approximate distributions for larger data set into a normal distribution and other distributions, and how do we take out the inferences from that. Like we will be doing point estimations, which basically checks for MME, MSE, like biased estimator. We will be calculating the estimators and then we will be testing those estimators on their accuracy and their relevancy. Okay. In 9th and 10th chapter, these 2 chapters are combined as well, interrelated as well. We will be learning about predictions. Like if I say you give an exam and then you guys are predicting that how much percentage would I get. So of course I can't say specifically, na, you will get 55. I can say okay, you will get around 50 to 60%, 50 to 60 marks. Okay. So this is called the confidence interval. I am saying this, if I say that I am 95% confident that given your preparation, you guys will score around 60 to 80 marks. So this 60 to 80 marks is my 95% confidence interval, because I am 95% confident that if you are going to get your marks, that you are getting within this range. So we will be learning how to draw these confidence intervals and prediction intervals, and then once we draw these intervals, we will be doing hypothesis testing over that. If we are making a statement, if we are making a conclusion, then it may or may not be true. So how do we check if it is true or if it is correct or not? We will be doing testing over it, and we will do hypothesis testing. So our statements are basically called hypothesis, and since we will be checking our statements in this chapter, so this chapter is called hypothesis testing. There are various ways to test this hypothesis, so we will be learning those ways in this chapter. I hope this is clear, these 3 units are clear. Then moving forward to our 4th unit, this is basically independent units. So we will be learning correlation, we will be calculating various correlation coefficients, Pearson correlation coefficient, Spearman, Kendall, various coefficients. We will be learning the interdependency of the datas. Okay, we will be getting 2 or 3 data sets, and we want to check that how much correlated are they. Then we will be doing linear regression. Then we have generalized linear model, which is basically GM. So these are used in basically general insurance companies. How? These are basically used to determine that how much premium are the companies need to set to cover the risk that you are possessing. Okay, so we will be using various factors. How will be how we will be differentiating. For example, there is a person A and a person B. Person A smokes, person B doesn't smoke, and they are taking out the health insurance. So it is obvious, na, person A who smokes will be at higher risk, so company must charge higher premium from that. So how high premium should it charge, and is that higher charging relevant or not, that we will be learning in generalized linear models. So basically we would be learning linear models, we will be creating models in there. Okay, in further chapter like in CS further subjects like in CS2, we will be doing it on larger basis. Okay, then we have Bayesian statistics and credibility theory, and then finally we will have EBCT. With EBCT is basically what we will be doing in probability distribution via distribution. We will be calculating those without an use of distribution. For example, we get a data set that cannot be fitted into any type of distribution. Then what we do is we use EBCTs. So this was the content. Don't stress about the content. Don't think that there is too much new topics. Obviously, you are entering into an actuarial journey, so you will be expected to learn something new. But take it as curiosity, not as demotivation. Okay, we will be covering each and every chapter from very basic, assuming that we have no background in these. So we will be doing it from very scratch and going with you guys to support you guys how to solve these. Okay, so this was the content of CS1. Now let's move forward that what are our deliverables. Like if you are doing CS1 with us, so what we will be providing you guys. Okay, so firstly we would be providing you live classes access plus recordings of those classes. So we will be doing live classes for the content, and in case, first of all, I would expect you guys to come to the live classes, because live classes is one of the best way to get your doubts solved. Okay, you learn to interact, you learn to give your answers. Otherwise, you get lazy or you do not solve while reading structures. Okay, so we will be doing live classes. I expect most of you guys to come to the live classes itself. But in case if you guys have not understood any concept there, or if you guys want to revisit any concept from the live classes, or in case you are not able to join the live class due to some emergency or due to some other reasons, then we will be also providing you guys recording of those live classes on a portal. Okay, you can go through those videos again. Is that okay? Then we will be providing you summary lists. Now what is summary list? It's basically list of past questions. What we have basically done is we have eased your workings. for example, we complete our unit 1 and now you guys want to practice the questions of unit 1. So, you do not need to go through all the IFOI papers yourself and select the second chapter question, third chapter question individually. We have done that for you. So, what we provide is summary list. In those summary lists, we would be providing you the number of questions, like question number from IAI and IFOI. For students appearing from IAI can use the summary list for IAI, and for those for IFOI should use the summary of that made for IFOI. Okay. So, it basically contains the list of question numbers that are important from the exam perspective and from those chapters that you have done. Let me show you a glimpse of the summary list that you will be guys receiving. So, yes, this is the summary list basically. For example, this is summary list 1. Summary list 1, for example, I cover first 3 chapters, that is data analysis, probability distribution and generating function, and now you guys want to practice those exam questions. So, these chapters will be covered in my summary list. So, first let us go for India past papers. So, these are the questions like May 2024, question 1, question 2, question 3. These consist of the concept of chapter 1 to 3. Similarly, November 2019 question 1, these all questions from all the past papers till June 19. Now, these are based on chapter 1, 2, 3 individually. So, you do not need to go through the whole the paper and then separate out the question numbers. You have this list with yourself and you can just pick up the May 2024 paper and then try solving question 1. That is basically from the chapter that you are going for. Similarly, for IFOI students, we have September 2024 to April 2019 question papers, and you can use these summary lists to solve your questions. So, these are made for your practice, and we have also provided the exam tips that what these chapter basically requires. Should we spend more time or less time on these papers, and how do we use this summary list. Apart from that, we would be providing you assignments. Once you are done with 1 or 2 chapters, and if we think that these chapters are interrelated, so we will be providing you the assignments for those chapters. Okay, basically for all the chapters. So, let me show you an assignment as well for CS1, how would it look like. So, this is basically assignment 1. So, our assignment 1 would be covering these 5 chapters. This is basically unit 1 as I discussed. Okay. So, these are the assignments. Once you are done with these assignments, you will be getting the solutions to these assignments as well, and you can cross check those assignments. If you are having any doubt, you have the access to doubt portal. You will be having the access to doubt portal, and you can post your doubts in that, and we will be taking your doubts. So, this is your assignment looks like, and similarly these assignments are made for your unit 1, 2, 3, 4 and furthermore units if we have. Okay, apart from that, we will be having unit wise mocks. Once you are done with your units, so we will be also providing you unit wise mocks plus full length mocks and unit wise tests. What does full length mocks look like? For example, we are done with whole syllabus. What we expect you guys to do is appear for our full length mocks. What these mocks consist of? These are full 100 marks paper complete consisting of 100% syllabus of a CS1A and CS1B, and we will give you a proper timing or proper date that you have to sit for this mock from this date to this date, and we will be providing you detailed guidance or detailed discussion of these papers. Like you will be getting the marks from these papers, and we will be discussing that where you have lagged, which are the portion that you needs to cover up quickly. So, detailed discussion of these papers. So, this is very important guys. You appear for your assignments, appear for your mocks, appear for your test and appear for your full length mocks, because if you guys are only learning concept but not solving the questions and not appearing for test or full length tests, then there is no point of learning these concepts, because you won't be able to apply them in the exam. These are basically to get you along with the exam structure, okay? Because in exam you have stress, you have time pressure. So, we guys prepare you for these time pressure in these things. So it is important for you guys that whatever schedule we are providing you for these assignments and mocks, you guys follow it completely, okay. Then you will be having the access to doubt portal. In case you have any doubt in this doubt, you can put in doubt portal. Now what I expect you guys to have in this to use this doubt portal as, for example, if you are getting a doubt in question number 1 for example, so I want you guys to show your working, like submit your working in the doubt portal and tell me the exact step where you are getting the doubt, okay. This is for you guys to not misuse the doubt portal, okay. At least try, so that you know that where were you lagging and where were you making the mistake. This is the best way to solve your mistakes, okay. So I expect you guys that you submit your workings along with the detailed question, like where are you lagging, detailed doubt, okay. Then we will be doing video tracking of yours. Every once in a week we will be checking that if you are going through your videos or not, and our team will be guiding you guys. If you are going slow, if you are lagging behind, they will be giving you a motivation that please go on, that you are lagging behind. So make sure you are watching your videos on time. Whatever schedule will be posting you guys on your groups or on your communities, please make sure you are following that and you will be covering your videos accordingly, okay. So this was all our deliverables for you guys, and this was all the CS1 structure and the passing structure as well. Then we also move forward to our content of CS1. This was all the content of CS1. We will be starting our first class with this probability distributions. So yes, this was all for the CS1 orientation session. If you guys have doubt that is it time to prepare for a September attempt or a November attempt, so yes, this session marks the beginning of your CS1 batch, and this session marks that yes, you can complete your syllabus till your exam, okay. So till then, happy learning guys, stay tuned with us.